So, Street Fighter V is going to be an exclusive to the PS4 and the PC. Is that even really a real exclusive? I mean, is that an actual exclusive if it's going to come out for the PS4 and the PC, which is, PC is also Microsoft as well, but that being said, it's not going to come out apparently on the Xbox One. As of right now, I'm getting the story, okay? GameSpot.com published this, and they said Street Fighter V revealed as a PS4 and PC exclusive game. They also got a couple of still images. Apparently there was some kind of video, but it was set to private afterwards. Apparently Capcom set the Street Fighter V video to private. Capcom isn't quite ready to show off Street Fighter V. A YouTube user named Carl White was able to capture the video, but I mean, look, here's the thing with Street Fighter. They have this 5th installment, alright? This fighting game series has been around, it's a part of my childhood since the early 90s, since I was playing the Super Nintendo way back as a kid in the mid-late 90s, and just continued and continued and continued until around maybe the early mid-2000s. They stopped making Street Fighter stuff, any like additional updates, any actual sequels to the canonical story of Street Fighter. They would have, you know, once in a while they'll have a collection here and there, they'll have compilations, some kind of offshoot game, but here's the thing, Street Fighter to me, I don't think I'm even that interested in Street Fighter anymore. With this announcement on the PS4, on the exclusive PS4 game, I don't even give two shits about this. I'm not excited about this. I don't care about Street Fighter anymore. I used to love Street Fighter as a kid, love fighting games. It has to be, if not my most favorite genre in video games, it's gotta be up there, top 2, top 5, whatever. I love fighting games so much. And, I mean, Street Fighter 2, the very first one, that's one of the main reasons I got into fighting games. It has to be the most influential fighting game of all time. And now, here we are, over 20 years later with Street Fighter V on the PS4 and the PC, and I'm not excited. I'm looking at the little screenshots. There's the logo, Street Fighter with a V behind it, like Grand Theft Auto V, you know. You got a little still image of Ryu doing the Hadouken energy ball thing, and then you got Chun-Li doing her pose, like, yeah, defensive stance or whatever. And I'm not excited about Street Fighter anymore. It's been so many years. There's been so many bullshit crap regarding Street Fighter, whether it's DLC, Capcom, you know, whoring out Street Fighter characters, and all this DLC stuff where you gotta buy a certain DLC package, you know, extra money you gotta spend in order to unlock the full roster. The constant, consistent, never-ending so-called, you know, updated versions, the yearly, pretty much yearly releases, you know, oh, we have a new version of Street Fighter 4 again, here we, you know, there's been like 5 or 6 versions of Street Fighter 4 already. The initial one came out in 08 in arcades, early 09 in the consoles, the original Street Fighter 4, but that was a piece of shit, because it's not even a complete version. They had Super, they had, the Super Arcade, and then all that other oh my god, it just goes on. The Ultra version, I mean, I'm done with Street Fighter. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll definitely say it right now, I am done with the Street Fighter series. This was a favorite franchise of mine as a kid, along with other fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Tekken, the Soul series from Namco, you know, Soul Edge, Soul Calibur, that kind of thing. And this is just, I can't give two shits anymore about Street Fighter, because Number one, the gameplay has been so predictable. It's the same shit over and over again. They don't try to switch anything up. They don't change anything around. It just happens to have all these features from the previous games. You know, you'll have the fucking... You got the special moves and the little bar, and you can store it, and then you might have a little combo here and there. And the whole thing, to me, is so redundant. They don't do anything to change the presentation. Everything feels the same. The voice acting, or the little fucking phrases and the catchphrases they would say, it's not as iconic as it used to be from the original games. You know, you got Ryu and Ken with a Hadouken, Shoryuken, and then that was so iconic back in those times, and now it's so it's not, it doesn't stand out. The audio, the sound effects don't stand out. They're not distinct. They're not iconic anymore. You know, they don't have a long-lasting thing. The only thing I can remember from Street Fighter 4 was the I guess he was a French guy, the guy who does, I think, kind of an MMA. I forget his name. He's one of the newer characters where he goes excellent, excellent. You know, that kind of thing. That's the only one I remember. The only memorable catchphrase, special move, shout that the guy does. Excellent, excellent. Oh God. It just feels more like a modern version of a 90s Street Fighter game, you know, the 2D gameplay. That's fine, I love the 2D gameplay, but it's so familiar. It's not so evolved. They don't have customization. You can't create your own characters, your own fighters, which I think is such a detriment to fighting games now. You can't make and create your own fucking fighting game characters. I hate that shit. I was expecting by now, in 2014, and maybe the past 5, 6 years, 7 years of video games, that we have create a character. Some games have it. I think one of the Mortal Kombat games back in the day, I think Armageddon, I think, had it. You know, Soul Calibur has it, and even, you know, Soul Calibur would improve it over time. At the beginning with Soul 3, it started with Soul Calibur 3 way back in, I think, 2005. It wasn't that evolved, it was very limited, but over time, over the years of developing the other games, like Broken Destiny, and all that shit, and creating new characters, it became a little bit more, there's more variety with the characters that you can create. Street Fighter 5, I am not interested anymore with Street Fighter, with the exception of maybe something like, you know, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I think that was the last thing that I gave a shit about. And I still play that game. I enjoy Street Fighter Cross Tekken, hate the stupid DLC characters, but I enjoyed that one just because with the addition of the Tekken characters. I like Tekken. I like the idea of the two worlds colliding and fighting each other, even though it doesn't really make much sense in terms of anything involving the story, involving the gameplay, where now you gotta force the Tekken characters to play as 2D Street Fighter style, Capcom style. Hopefully one of these days they'll make a Tekken Cross Street Fighter where it's like set in fucking 3D, but I'm not even sure about that. And as far as those little crossovers, and I would love to see a Street Fighter cross Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat kind of thing, that would be fucking awesome. Instead of Capcom just making fun of Midway and Mortal Kombat and making fun of them by including a character like Ralphus or whatever the hell that, you know, that fat guy was, where he was basically just a parody, a ripoff of Scorpion, and it was just like, oh, let's make fun of the fat American whatever, blah 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 blah. It was just a parody. As far as being a PS4 exclusive, or partially pseudo PS4 exclusive, I mean, I think Sony needs it. Sony needs some exclusive fighting games. Everything is a fucking multi-plat now. Sony used to have a bunch of exclusive, you know, fighting games that they could say it's their own. It only came out on the PS4, and even this one isn't a true exclusive. Obviously, it's a fucking PC game too. And the problem is that Sony just doesn't have enough exclusive games, especially fighting games, where the genre has diminished so much. There's not that many titles coming out for any innovative games coming out, any fresh new ideas. And with something like Street Fighter V, I'm sure it's going to be much better to play on the PS4 anyway. The controller is better, the D-pad is better. I don't give a shit. I don't care about the fucking Xbox One's D-pad. It's still not better than the PlayStation D-pad and its controller when handling fighting games, because it's very tap-based, especially with Street Fighter. Tap-based moves, quarter circle, half circle moves, fucking doing the whole 360 type of moves. I mean, stringing combos together, I mean, you need that tap base very easy, not the fucking Xbox One where it still feels a little bit cumbersome. It might be a little bit better than the previous 360 model controller, but it's still not a good fucking controller for fighting games. I don't care what anybody says. And then you have this exclusive thing. Sony just doesn't have exclusive fighting games anymore. Aside from PlayStation All-Stars, which is a obvious ripoff of Smash Bros, they don't really have any more exclusive fighting games. Especially within, an in-house developer. They don't have that. They don't even have any, second-party games. They don't have any. Back in the day, back in the fucking 90s, they had Tekken. Tekken was big. Tekken was fucking huge for the PlayStation 1, for the PS1. Very big game, especially Tekken 3. Tekken 3 was massively successful, one of the top-selling games on the PS1, and so it was like, at least, PS1 had some, the Tekken series, Tekken 1, Tekken 2, Tekken 3, and then it's like, yeah, that's the PlayStation, that's what the PS1 is all about, that's what Sony is all about. And eventually, and then the early 2000s came, and fighting games started to fucking decline. People were not they weren't buying as many fighting games anymore. A lot of the franchises started falling off, started dying a little bit. And by the PS2 era, 2005, 2006, I mean, Sony still had classic fighting games. They still had some really good ones. But aside from something like maybe a Soul Calibur 3, so Soul 3 actually was exclusive on the PS2. Everything else, I think, was pretty much a multi-plat. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, that was like Dreamcast and PS2 and Xbox, so that was a multi-plat. I'm trying to think. There's I guess the Street Fighter collections. That was even those ones. I think also came out. They might have been released. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember. I got a bunch of collections on the PS2, like fighting game collections, World Heroes Anthology, and fucking like Fatal Fury Volume 1 or 2, one of those ones. King of Fighters collection. There's a bunch of those, and they're really, really fun. Just good stuff, but I don't know. Sony I think they've fallen off. And then when they lost Tekken, when Sony lost Tekken as an exclusive, because I mean they still had Tekken through the PS2 era too. I forgot about that. Tekken 4, Tekken 5, Tekken Tag Tournament. That was PS2. It never came out on the other consoles, I don't think. And then after that, it was, when the fucking 2007, 2008, 2009, everything started going multi-plat. Street Fighter was coming out for everything. Tekken started coming out for the 360 as well. I mean, so I think Sony has fallen off in terms of having fighting games, because I mean, I made an entire video about it, 5 reasons why fighting games die. That was over a year ago, and it really hasn't changed. I feel like fighting games have gotten even worse since last year. It's even worse. Fighting games in 2014 is so so much weaker than fighting games 20 years ago in 1994. Hands down. You know, I mean, it was pretty bad 10 years ago in 2004, but not as bad as it is now. You know, it's like every 10 years it just gets worse and way worse, way more terrible, much less variety, much less fucking amazing fighting games. They just... oh god. I'm surprised they keep making them. They still have these franchises running around. You know, a Street Fighter will still pop up. You know, they brought back Killer Instinct on the Xbox One. I'm not sure about the Wii. The Wii U has Smash Bros. And I think Tekken Tag 2. Those are the two most memorable ones in terms of fighters. And there's, aside from those established fucking franchises from the 90s, most of them are from the 90s, there's really not that much new fighting games coming out anymore. You know, there's no more innovation, there's no more fresh fucking ideas. The popularity of fighting games have decreased tremendously because of many various things, including the decline of arcades, the decline of the fighting game novelty, and oh, god damn it. The 90s was so fucking amazing for fighters, you know. I mean, Street Fighter was off the chain in the fucking 90s. Top selling. And then you had the crossovers. Street Fighter versus X-Men and shit. Marvel versus Capcom and all that shit. That shit was all dope. It was fucking dope. And now it's become so predictable. It's... the only reason Capcom is putting out Street Fighter V is to cash in on the fucking Street Fighter name. That's it. It's just, you know, it's like Assassin's Creed. They just put it out because it sells. Because some people are still nostalgic for it. They still like it. They still enjoy the gameplay, but it's just more of the same shit. Here's another fucking Street Fighter game. We're not gonna have any... I'm sure it's not gonna have any innovations. Trust me. I will not be buying this. I don't want to buy this. I'm not interested in this. I don't even want to look at it. I don't even want to play it. I'm done with Street Fighter. I really am. I can't be interested in this fucking series anymore. You know, the only hope for fighting games now is something new, like maybe a Skullgirls. Skullgirls is pretty dope. I played Encore a few months ago. That was pretty fun. Or something from Namco. Because Namco, they always fucking rock with the fighting games. Whether it's Soul Calibur or Tekken or something like that. Or even something like Dead or Alive from, what the hell, Tecmo, I think. Even DOA is more exciting. It's more sexy. It's more fun. You know, it's, I don't know. Fighting games have fucking fallen off so badly. It's thanks for watching The Review Space, the most underrated channel on YouTube. For more videos, check out youtube.com/TheReviewSpace.